We'd like to say welcome to you once more and welcome to our online viewers. We've been getting some really good feedbacks from persons online and who have been with us since Monday. All right? This afternoon we have Activate Talks, and notice that we have once again changed the setting with the room. Okay? I am going to turn the microphone over to the gentleman who would be spearheading this afternoon's event so that we can be part of it and enjoy and listening, participate in the activity. So thank you for being here, and as I turn over to the team for this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. On many occasions, it's not a very easy activity to control when you're asked to do anything after you would have eaten. It is especially said that black people, with respect to any other race, that we indeed suffer with something called niggeritis. This afternoon at this place, we will prove that that is not true. How many persons want to believe me that that is not true? Very good. My name is Gerard Jones, a senior officer at Her Majesty's Prisons for the past 24 years. And I'm especially pleased to be invited by Mr. Rogers, my co-worker for the past 23 years and so. It gives me great pleasure to, at any time I'm given the opportunity to speak with or to listen to young people. And I'm sure that wherever we are, let us please all stand as we reverence God's presence, as we ask Mrs. Glenda Lambert to invoke God's presence upon us. Ms. Lambert.
Thank you. Shall we bow our heads, please? Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you, O God, for bringing us here today, O God. We thank you for yet another, Lord, a rich session, O God, set on by this committee. Father, we pray, O God, as these people, O God, who are filled this room here this afternoon, O God, Lord, they will, O God, be, O God, participative in this session here this afternoon. We thank you for what is about to happen. We thank you for the committee. We thank you for the team that is set here before us. And most, oh God, we thank you for gracing us with your presence today, oh God. We thank you for health. We thank you for strength. And we thank you, oh God, for, Lord, a week thus far, oh God, without any, oh God, injuries, oh God, or accidents. Father, we thank you and we pray that this session would go in accordance and, Lord, in according to what, oh God, is planned here by this committee. And we pray that everything will run smoothly and successfully in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you. Please have your seats. I am sure the Almighty God, wherever He is, would hear that. Amen? Amen. Right. This afternoon, young people in particularly, it is often said that young persons are afraid to speak. Is that true? However, if you have the opportunity to live close to a school, especially a primary school, would you share that same sentiment? No. So therefore, it's not true to say that young people are afraid to speak. All right. The reason I'm asking questions in that participatory manner, I would like persons to be involved. I would like persons to be interactive. I would like persons to not just sit there and be told, but to be very much a part of this afternoon's function. Yes? So the time will come when persons will even feel much more freely to extend or to share or to question or to make comment. At this point, we'd like to invite Mr. Patrick Knight, who is the UNICEF representative, to give us a few remarks. Mr. Knight.
A very good afternoon to everyone, and I bring greetings on behalf of the UNICEF Office for the Eastern Caribbean, which is based in Barbados, which covers all 12 countries in the OECS and the British Overseas Territories as well. My representative would very much have liked to be here, but unfortunately he is on home leave now. So I happily, being a friend of Grenada and someone who likes the spice ale very much, welcome this opportunity to welcome you to this event. Now, you might normally associate UNICEF with children and wonder why would UNICEF be sponsoring an activity that involves youth. But we've been, for the past few years, reaching more into the youth development agenda and trying to engage young people so that they can have a say on the issues that impact them. And we were happy to learn that this topic that you're dealing with today is one that young people themselves said that they wanted to address. Because this is how we see that societies can develop. They can only move forward if young people who, in most of our countries, young people make up the majority of the population. And if we do not give young people a chance to participate in national life, to have a say in the issues that affect them and their peers, then we do not think that there'll be a lot of scope for the development of these countries. And so we've been working with Team Action International to put on these activities throughout the entire region. So far we've done them in St. Kitts, in Antigua, in St. Lucia, and in Barbados. And our mission is to take these sort of activities right throughout the Caribbean, because we think that young people must be at the forefront. And the reason we call them Activate Talk is because we do not think that the mere fact of coming here and discussing an issue today that you can arrive at a solution. These talks are just intended to start the discussion, to activate the talk, so that over the coming months and years and so on, that the debate can continue until you help come up, formulate some of the suggestions and the ideas that you figure can help solve some of the issues that we're having. I noticed today's topic is about education and its role in preparing you for the future and so on. And I think this is very important, especially at a time when the entire Caribbean is right now talking about education reform and how our education sectors are helping or not helping young people to prepare for the world of work and for the world in general. We inherited in this region an education system from the British back way long ago. And is it still working? Is it still the model that we should have? Is it still producing citizens who can be productive in the employment sector? Or do we need to change it? And I hope that those are some of the issues that we can start addressing here today. So I want to, on behalf of UNICEF, welcome you, and I do look forward to a very engaging discussion here this afternoon. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Willie. Mr. Knight, is it? The more we see you, is the more we'll get better acquainted with your name, but you're certainly welcome in Grenada, and we thank you for your welcome. So at this point, we'd like everyone to please feel welcome and stay welcome. We'd like at this point to invite the Chief Cultural Officer, Mrs. Susan Jones, to please give us a few remarks. Please put your hands together for Ms. Jones.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Panelists, fellow colleagues, pleasant good afternoon to everyone. Now, I think it's a very important component of the Speech Festival Activate Talks and I appreciate that what UNICEF wants to give young persons an opportunity to express themselves on the topic we'll be discussing this afternoon. Your views and opinion is very important, and hence the terminology Activate Talks, and we want to really engage in their discussion this afternoon. And it will be dealing with complexities of social work transitions. Now, oftentimes people in school find it very difficult to transition themselves from being a student at school and becoming a person in an employer or employee, because we are encouraging persons, of course, to open their own businesses. and it is very important. Now, this transition takes into consideration many factors. It is not only the subjects that you do at school, and you have to also link, what am I interested in? What is my passion? What do I want to achieve? Am I sitting the correct subjects? Am I doing what is correct in school for me to achieve that? Also, and the social component also, you have to become a professional in your field, and how do I socialize it's a different socialization skills that you have to possess when I'm a student and when I'm in the workplace. So these are some of the components that, of course, we'll be looking at this afternoon. And I think that it is very important, and persons, even at TAMCC level, they don't associate, okay, then I'd like to get a scholarship, but do I have the grade point average? So whatever we do at school, or do I have the correct skills? What do I want to achieve? Are my skills compatible with what work I'm seeking? So all these things are very, very important for us to take into consideration and transition ourselves from being a student into the workplace. So make use of this opportunity. Ask as many questions as possible. We'd like to hear from you, what you're thinking, what are your views? And we want to really activate the talks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Jones. We did not say initiate talks. Purposefully, it is said activate talks. Maybe one day it may be agitate talks. Because it is time indeed that young people start speaking up, and it's also time that young people are being listened to. So today, another young person will bless us with a very, I can't tell you. I must leave it for her to do. It's a secret. It will be told on the microphone here. So let us put our hands together and welcome Miss Zara Trotman as she blesses us with her.
Good afternoon. My name is Zara Trotman, and I will be performing a piece called Born to Die. The alcoholic, the alcohol, the greedy man that wants it all. The blade just seems to love her skin. Mom's always high on heroin. The orphan child that never smiled. The stone teen on weed and lean. Listen to that baby wail. She's crying because her dad's in jail. Mom's neglecting and abusing because of the drugs that she is using. The rich white girl still pops that pill. A suicide note and a written will. Don't eat that. Anorexia said, ignore the hunger, just go to bed. And when his demons come out to play, alive is how he won't walk away. Depression is a deadly killer. It's killing me, and it killed my sister. Crime and violence are out of hand. Where are the leaders of this land? We've got an idol ministry. Where is our pride in industry? The priest was secretly a rapist. The Christian was secretly a sadist. Schizophrenia doesn't mean you're crazy, just like depression doesn't mean you're lazy. Everything is not what meets the eye. How are you? I'm good. That was a lie. So what if I say an early goodbye? In the end, we're all born to die. Thank you.
Let us put our hands together a little louder this time. Thank you. That's what many young persons out there are experiencing. That's the cries of many of our young people. And that's the deafness that the fathers, mothers, and other persons who ought to have been listening to us have not been hearing. So it is incumbent on you today to take that message out from henceforth, so that persons out there will not necessarily feel that they're born to die. Yes, we're born to die, But today, T-O-D-A-Y, today is the day when persons should have that purpose to want to live. Yes? Very well. We welcome you today to TAII Speech Festival. And it's an opportunity whereby persons are allowed to say what's on their mind. There are many complexing topics in our society, many perplexing issues. But the topic today is complexities of school to work transition. School to work. How do you make that transition from being a schoolboy into a working man? Same year, sometimes same month. And we have some wonderful speakers whom I'd like to introduce. We have Miss Maria Worm. Aria. She's speaking because I made an M to her name. And she said to me, quite ably so, it's Aria. And that's what it should be. Too many times, persons are just left to accept what is dished out to them or what is said about them. Sometimes it's not even true. And persons feel defenseless. Ms. Trotman mentioned persons are at the prisons, and that is quite true. I've been there for the past 24 years. And I've met persons whom I went to school with, whom I attended class with. And sadly, some have died. I've seen them die. And we would like to challenge the persons out there, especially our online listeners, our online viewers, and persons who would not have the opportunity necessarily to be in our presence today, but who have the scope, thanks to technology, to be a part of it. We'd like to welcome and introduce our speakers. As I said, Miss Aria Worm, Miss Aria Worm. She's very, very adamant that her name is Aria Worm. So put our hands together for Miss Aria Worm. And she is an Imani trainee at the Grenada Red Cross. We also have Miss Anne-Marie Montrose. And Miss Montrose is the Human Resource Manager of Communal Cooperative Credit Union. Let's put our hands together again. We have another speaker who goes by the name of Mr. Floyd Thomas. And Mr. Floyd Thomas is a past Imani and he's a poultry farmer. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Thomas. And I'm hoping that we will still have Miss Nikita Augustine Wells, such a beautiful name, N-E-W. And she too is an Imani trainee. So we would like to really get into the meat of this afternoon's event. And having introduced the speakers, there will be a number of areas in which they'll be touching, I'm sure. In fact, they have subtopics like linkology versus social networking. And Ms. Worm will, I'm sure, do justice to that subtopic. We also have employability skills, misfit of skills. There are persons who know what needs to be done, and they can do it if given the chance. However, there are persons who are given the chance who don't have an idea as to what needs to be done. Misfit, total misfits. Let us see how it goes. We have entrepreneurship by Mr. Thomas. We have professionalism versus individuality. And so, to avoid anyone from nodding, to avoid the welcome of niggeritis, as we say, we do not have here, let us please go right into it as we start the speeches of today's TAII Speech Festival. Let the speech begin. And we see Ms. Worm is wanting to know, is it my turn to speak? Of course it's your turn to speak, Ms. Worm. Please come and do the topic justice. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Don't mind the little shaky, because you know it's nervous. It's the first time I'm doing this. It's a pleasure. I'm excited. I have so much mixed feelings, so don't mind the voice. So good afternoon to each and everyone that is present here. As was stated before, my name is Ariel Baum, a trainee at the Grenada Red Cross. So today my task is to speak a little on linkology versus social networking. So, when I hear the term linkology, immediately two things come to mind. Firstly, link. And to me, a link is putting something together. Ology, a system that is ready to be used. So my definition of linkology will be something that is readily being put in place for someone or something. Social networking is a chain of means of communication and interaction with different persons or entities to find or get information or a task to be completed. The right of an individual to access job or other development opportunity is not observed by many. In recent time, access to key resources is determined by subjective experiences and personal opinion and not merit. Truth be told, one cannot discount the value of public opinion and intimate working knowledge. However, these should not be the only determinant in securing a job. The rights-based approach and human rights treaty should not be ignored. It should form the basis of our responses to life. It provides a platform where persons are treated equitably. It denotes the fact that as human beings, we are all equal and should be given opportunities, not because of differences or advantages, but merit. The promotion of economic, social, and cultural rights should be an element in all the functions and activities of communities, groups, and organizations. This will therefore mean that the underlying and visible structural factors that promote biases are at the roots of human rights problems and therefore should be avoided with heavy penalties attached to it. The process of selection, developing, delivering, and participating in economic, social, and cultural rights, it should itself reflect human rights by being participatory in nature, promoting dialogue, and showing respect for the dignity of those involved. Social networking is valuable for advancement, but it should not be, Social networking is valuable for advancement, but it should not be the only aspect of advancement. It has to be holistic and inclusive where everyone, regardless of social economic status, social class, disability, and other differences should be targeted and included. Social networking is a wonderful avenue for building capacities and resiliency. It taps into a very core function of humanity, that is, building relationship and social skills. It is an avenue where persons can capitalize on existing opportunities where they can realize their full potential while utilizing and maximizing limited resources. Linkology can have a negative connotation too. It can suggest access without merit. Referrals and linkology are separate and apart. Referrals are a more systematic process where person work ethics and accomplishment can speak for themselves. However, linkology to me seems as if the opportunity is already given with little effort or processing. So basically, linkology is something that is already waiting for you. So for instance, your parents or grandparents have their own business. So you might, as soon as you finish work, there is a job waiting. So you don't have to go through no process of going to no interview or applying for a job. So the job is already there for you. No hassle, no strain, no stress. Whereas social networking is somewhat similar to linkology, but in social networking, you have to have some kind of links, meaning that you have to know somebody, maybe somebody in society, maybe your father may know somebody. So like an example might be that there's an opening of a receptionist at a job or so, and Tom might have the qualification and the experience to be a receptionist, but Jerry doesn't have that same experience. But because Jerry's father know the manager of that business, he will speak to the manager on behalf of Jerry, although he know that Jerry doesn't reach the requirements, have the qualification for that job. And because of the friendship that Jerry's father and that manager have, automatically Jerry is going to get the job. So they did not look at the qualification or the experience, but because of the friendship, so it's like he pulled a string. So the job was already for him. Okay? So this is the end of my little speech. I hope you all got the concept of what is linkology versus social networking. I thank you.
Wonderful. Very well done. When I was growing up, my grandmother said to me, in this world, it's not what you know sometimes, it's who you know. I have lived to see that too have changed. From who you know, because there are times you know the person very well. You grew up in the backyard. You sweep their house for them. You went to school with their children. And you say, yeah, thank God when you go in the interview room, I see Mr. Paul. I know Mr. Paul very well. I've lived to see too. It's not what you know or who you know, but you may be there and you're wondering, well, Mr. Paul is not, and you're waving sometime, but Mr. Paul doesn't know you. So it's not what you know or who you know, but who know you. And believe it. Because there are persons, you know them very well. And you know that they know that you know what to do. But sometimes that person is not prepared to accept that or to acknowledge that they know you. They pretend that that's the first time they're seeing you. A few years ago, a young lady sang a song, Teacher, Teach Me Links. Anybody remember that song? Little Pinky? Wow, I'm too old. Little Pinky is in her 30s now. She sang, Teacher, Teach Me Links. All the subjects you're teaching me, they're fine. But teacher, please, teach me links. And it is sad to say because it's a two-pronged situation. There are times some businesses are founded on the principle of trust and communal spirit. Probably a family business, probably a small firm, probably a large conglomerate. But the persons who are controlling that business wants to know that the persons in whom they are going to employ are persons that they know. Are persons who are not suitably qualified necessarily so, but are persons who they know can take the firm where they want it to go. So it is quite fair too that sometimes links are important, isn't that true? Because when your daughter comes home with a young man and his pants is under there and he's struggling when he sees you to pull it up, and you know that that young man is soon to be your son-in-law who will take over your multi-million-dollar conglomerate, I'm sorry, sometimes you have to not even know your daughter. So because she's looking for the links, Daddy, that's my boyfriend. And you say to her, Daddy. So she's wondering, well, you're not linking up with me because you do not want to link up with that man she has, or you do not want her to link up with him. So The bad thing about it, that person is judged not on the content of character, but on the visibility of what you would have seen. But did you take time to find out? Supposing the young man lost his belt in an accident trying to meet the time to meet you? I'm glad you laughed, because there are times we are judgmental on the surface. But sometimes that young man is a very punctual person, because it has been instilled in him to always be punctual. And here today, he's going to meet that significant other of his father. And in his quest to be punctual, he lost his belt. But there you are, being judgmental. That she bring, day pansies, only an accident caused that. So it is important to look at both sides of the coin. But I'm just agitating here, I'm just making confusion here, I'm just trying to create discussion. So I would like persons now to, while this Miss Aria Worm is still here, please take the microphone and quiz her. I'm giving you the chance to put her on the spot. Let us hear what you think. Questions? Queries? All right. Thank God we're seeing none. Let us please remind speakers that let us at this point, based on indication otherwise, that to hold our comments and questions and queries. Please hold on to them. If you can't remember them, jot them down. So we'll have more things to say, ask, or share as we invite our next speaker, Ms. Anne-Marie Montrose, who will be speaking on employability skills, misfits of skills. And she is the Human Resource Manager at Communal Cooperative Credit Union. Let us put our hands together for Ms. Montrose.
Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you very much, Mr. Jones. I believe my subtopic is employability and soft skills. I don't know where he got misfit from. But anyhow, we'll be good. I am Anne-Marie Montrose. I have been employed with Communal Cooperative Credit Union for 24 years. So I am not very young, neither am I old. So I am here this afternoon. I am very thankful to be here to share with you. I always remind myself that my primary purpose for being born is to impact the lives of persons that I come into contact with in a positive way. And I believe I'm here to serve, because at the end of the day, if I don't lend a hand to others, somebody might get left along the way. So I like to serve. I believe in service. And I like that after I interact with you, you leave me feeling positive. So I am very thankful to the Ministry of Youth and Sports for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to once again walk in my purpose. Like I said, my topic is employability and soft skills. When you hear the word employability, what comes to mind? I wouldn't let you answer, but employability is a state of being able to find and maintain employment. If I was to ask you, what do you need? What are some of the things you think you need to be employed? I am sure you would tell me academic qualifications. Am I right or am I right? Right. I know I'm right. Yes, that's correct. But in today's business environment, managers are looking for the for persons with the right set of skills, a combination of what we call hard skills and soft skills. Now, when we speak about hard skills, we speak about the technical and academic skills, things that you are taught at school, and you go on to further enforce them at university. You get certificates and degrees for. Those are your hard skills. So for the accountants, their skill is accounting. For secretaries, their skill is typing. For masons and persons in the construction field, it might be carpentry and so on. You get the point I'm making? But the soft skills, on the other hand, are those that are not taught in school. They are more or less character-based traits. And nobody cannot teach you to be a good person. You have to be good by yourself. You understand? So let's take, as an example, for reinforcement, let's take 2 gas stations. One in my area, and then the other one that is 2 miles away. They offer the same gasoline at the same price. The persons who are at the pump, they have the same technical knowledge to know how to operate the pump. But tell me, what are some of the things that would make me forego the one in my area and travel 2 miles to the one? Tell me? Customer service. Because when I go to gas station A, I'm not greeted. They say, the attendant would say, how much gas you want? She full up, and I go. When I go to gas station B, it's a completely different experience. When I pull up, I hear, good afternoon, how are you today? One time I did not open my tank. She said, I'm sorry, Miss Montrose, you did not open your tank. Could you please open it? I opened my tank, she filled it up. Sometimes my my windshield is dirty. I don't have to ask to clean it. It is cleaned. When I go to gas station A, I have to ask to clean the screen. And sometimes they behave as though I am begging. So you see the difference. Those are the soft skills, the level of service and the impact that you are able to make on somebody and the persons that you serve. Those are your soft skills. And you may think that it is not important in your work life, because you may think that as I know what I have to do and I can do it, so why do I need to be nice? Let me tell you something. A survey was done by LinkedIn recently, and it was discovered that 57% of employers today consider soft skills as being more important than your hard skills. Because guess what? The person who does not have sufficiently hard skills, and they have the soft skills, it means that they have the right attitude, so they can be trained. You understand what I'm making? Because hard skills are skills that you can teach. The person who has the hard skills and do not have the soft skills, that person would be very difficult to work with. So you understand why employers are more focused on soft skills these days than hard skills. Am I making sense? Yeah. Right. There are many, many soft skills that persons are looking for. And by the way, soft skills are both internal and external. So this internal soft skills are the ones that you internalize for your own self. Being self-confident, being self-aware, being able to take criticisms and make adjustments for your own personal growth and development. That's considered inner soft skill. And the ones that are external are the ones that you give to the persons that you serve. Yeah? So, what I would share with you this afternoon are some of the soft skills that I believe are mostly important to succeed at work these days. Number one, communication. A lot of times in organization, things get chaotic and out of hand because of communication or the lack thereof. Because we can speak and not communicate. So communication is a two-way process. So if I speak to Ms. Jones and she did not understand what I said, we have not yet communicated. Yes? And there are ways to communicate. So communication involves active listening. So you listen to other people's and their opinion and you value them. Then you share yours politely. Even if you have to disagree with somebody else, you do it politely. And never think that somebody else's opinion is less than yours. You know, there are some people who say it's my way or the highway. No, those people are destructive to a team. So communication is actively listening to other people and respectfully giving your opinions and also using the correct medium. Because in an organization, if you and somebody have a dispute, you go and write a long email or a long memo when you could have just sat with the person and said, XYZ is the case and I think we misunderstood each other there, and you trash it out there rather than you send a written communique and make things worse. So you have to be mindful of the medium of communication that is used. Yes? The next one is teamwork. You know, there are some people who think they know it all. I remember I interviewed a young lady once, and she said to me that she is perfect. She's never made a mistake in her life. And I said, you really? So I said, how would you? And she further went on to tell me that she gets very agitated when people around her make mistakes. I said, so if I were to employ you and one of your colleagues made a mistake, what would you do? She told me she would take the job and do it herself. I cut the interview very short because I knew I did not want her on my team. What she was going to be doing is frustrating the other members of the team. When you are on a team, you have to understand that not everybody would operate at the same level. Some may be higher, some may be lower. And those that are lower, your purpose on the team is to help that person to get up from where they are. Help them to change the bad behaviors and turn it into good. But if you are going to totally disregard other people's mistakes and think that you're going to take it over because you are perfect, you are not fit to be a part of the team, you have to work on your own. And remember, as young people, it is not always a bad thing to make mistakes. You know what is bad about mistakes? When you don't learn. A mistake always presents an opportunity for growth and development. So whenever you make a mistake, the important thing is that you learn from it and you change it so that you don't ever repeat that mistake. Because in organization, a mistake can cost an organization hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages, as well as reputation. So bear that in mind. In a work environment too, one of the soft skills that you must have is professionalism and strong work ethics. When I talk about professionalism and strong work ethics, I mean you have to be honest in your dealings. I work in a financial institution, and you cannot be a thief working in an organization like mine, because you are on a daily basis exposed to money. So you have to be honest. You must follow the company's rules and policies. I see that happening in in organizations very often that the company's rules and policies are being ignored. So the company tells you that while you are providing service to a customer, you're not supposed to be using your cell phone and you are to turn it on silent. But yet for all, your cell phone rings while you're attending to somebody and you answer it. The company says that you are to be at work for 8 o'clock, but every day you come in at 8:15, 8:20, without a valid reason. So these are the things that you have to bear in mind. Another thing again is confidentiality. When you are in an environment, in a working environment, you will be exposed to information that are personal and dear to others. You have to keep it here. Never let it get here. Confidentiality is something that I've seen cause organizations' reputations to go down, and also it would cause you to lose your job too. So confidentiality is of utmost importance when you are in an organization. Dress appropriately, please. Oftentimes I see people and I wonder if they're really going to work. Dress short, tight, you're seeing all the cuts and the curves and the gentlemen with their pants underneath here. Mr. Jones, don't tell me that every morning they forget the belt at home. You understand? Dress appropriately. Because when you are aligned to an organization, you are the billboard of the organization. When they see you, and when people see me, they call me Miss Communal. So I have to dress appropriately. And dressing appropriate doesn't mean you have to put on this big false hair and the big flashy jewelry and makeup. When people see you, they must see your pleasantness rather than being distracted by how you look. So dress appropriately, maintain personal hygiene. Remember, you are working around persons and you don't want to offend anybody. So be mindful of your personal hygiene, and please at all times exercise good manners. Good morning, thank you. It doesn't cost a thing to display good manners. Another thing is that you must be flexible so that people can depend on you. Nobody wants somebody in their employ who they cannot depend on. So for example, your hours are 8 to 4, but at 3:45 we have a member to attend to, and we know that he's going to go beyond 4 o'clock. What do? We tell the person we can't attend to them because it's going to go over 4 o'clock? Do we? There are times again when emergencies happen and we may have to stay in later or come in on a Saturday when we are not supposed to. Some of us may say no, but guess what? The ones who are there and always willing to be flexible are the ones who are going to be recognized. So whenever there are promotional opportunities within the organization, guess who's going to get the favor? The ones who we can depend on to show up and assist. Initiative. Nobody wants a rubber stamp in the organization. Your job is to type letters. If there is no letters to type, I ain't doing nothing for today. Nobody wants that. So there's water on the ground. Because you are not a cleaner, you would not get the mop and mop it up because it's not on your job description. Nobody wants that. So when you are in an environment, you have to take initiative. See things to be done and do it without being asked or being told. Don't wait for somebody to tell you to do something when you know it has to be done. You get the point I'm making? Personal development. How many times we go to an organization and we feel that we have a college degree and we sit on it for 25 years. So you're in the same position when at 40, when you began that position at 20, we have to be continuously developing ourselves. And development doesn't mean any big qualification. You have to go spend a set of money to go to university, you know. No. Development is really enhancing yourself. So you may want to develop a new skill. If you can't cook, learn to cook. If you cannot manage money, take some financial literacy course. Empower yourself spiritually, emotionally, socially. All these are forms of development. So when we speak about self-development, we don't necessarily mean academics only. Of course you should empower yourself academically, but it is not only academics. We talk about holistic development when we speak about development, because when you develop yourself, you learn and you grow and you become a better individual for yourself, for your family, for the organization, and by extension, the country. So those of you who are out of college, don't sit on your college degree. And education is within reach. No longer do you have to go to educate yourself. You can sit at home on your couch and be educated. How many of us know that the internet is there and it's free? But how many of us take advantage of what is there to learn on the internet? There are so many sites that offer free courses. You don't have to pay. Whether it's, some of them are not recognized, but whether it's recognized or not, it's just a form of learning. So use the internet to your advantage, and so it would help develop you. And last of all, in a world where you can be anything, you can choose to be selfish, you can choose to be loud. Please choose kindness. Please be kind. Too many times I see people who, you ever see somebody who's educated and they're not kind? There was one time I was parking at Andal supermarkets, and a lady and I was coming out together. And there was a, I don't like to call them vagrant, but a homeless man there, standing there, and she was ahead of me. So he said, "Good morning, beautiful." And I in the back, you know, and I feeling jealous because I wondering if I will get that too. She did not answer. So he said, she's a bit tall, so he said, "Morning, tall girl." She did not answer. So he made a derogatory statement. He said, "Your dress so nice, but your heart is not as nice as your dress." And she turned and she answered him. And I was appalled. Such a complimentary greeting, "Good morning, beautiful." And she did not answer because she thought he was less than her. And I believe that we are supposed to be kind to everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. We have to be kind. So as I wrap up my session with you, I want to encourage you to be your best self. Be not in competition with anybody else. Try to be a better version of yourself every day. And the sky is the limit. There is nothing you cannot do as long as you put your mind to it. Thank you.
Well said. The applause did not do it justice. If you believe Miss Montrose, let us put our hands together, please. And that's the hard, cold reality of it. It boils down to that. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no if, buts, and maybes. There are certain acceptable norms in society that we shall at no time deviate from. Once again, Ms. Montrose, I am hoping that the persons here We'll take those compressed tobacco, as the old people used to call it, and put it in the pipes and smoke it. Literally so. Figuratively speaking, my dear. At this time, we'd like to invite our next speaker, who will be speaking on entrepreneurship. He's a parsimony. He's also a poultry farmer. Let us put our hands together and welcome Mr. Floyd Thomas.
Good afternoon to everyone. It's a privilege to be here this afternoon. My name is Floyd Thomas. I'm from Shantimel, St. Patrick's. I will be sharing a little bit on entrepreneurship. Actually, what I've been through for the past 10 years or so, more or less starting off under the Imani program and where I am presently. Entrepreneurship, an entrepreneur actually is someone who organizes and operates a business or businesses, more or less at times taking greater than the normal risk. Most times it's something that is not really welcoming to begin with. You would have a lot of trials in terms of the whole transition, more or less from secondary school or college to where you want to be. In my case, when I was actually in secondary school to begin with, at the point of graduation, I did not really know what it is that I would like to be in life, to be quite honest with you. Some of my friends wanted to be police officers, some wanted to be doctors, some wanted to be lawyers. But as for me, at that point in time, 16 or 17 around that time, I really did not know what I wanted to be. But I knew at that point in time that I had a passion or a desire basically to be self-employed, but at that time I was not really 100% sure. So on graduation day, actually, when it came to my turn, the chairperson at the time said that I did not know what I wanted to be in life. And I sat there and I listened to everyone murmuring. I felt bad, of course, but standing here today, basically looking back at that point in time, I really did not know what it is that I wanted to be, and I was more or less in a place of seeking self or self-searching, so to speak, and that was not a really nice time for me. Nevertheless, I move on. I went to TAII, studied refrigeration and air conditioning. Still, at that time, I was not feeling complete. I realized that there was still a void there. And actually, studying refrigeration and air conditioning was something that was suggested to me by a fatherly figure. So, got on board 2 years at TAII, and at the end of the day, I'm in a place where I'm still seeking, I'm still searching for what my passion is, what it is I really want to do in life. I found myself actually one time when I was asked to do a few chickens or birds, as we say, in layman terms, and I did not want it to do just a 2 chicken. I wanted to do something substantial enough so that at the end of the month I will have something in my pocket, pay bills or whatever, assist my parents or whatever the case may be. So I decided to go full-fledged into this thing. I was actually asked at one point in time by a gentleman to make a business plan and bring it to him so he can see what it is that I'm trying to do. Put it on paper, so to speak. Never made a business plan in my life before. That was a challenge for me. But what I did, I let my shoulder on Google, and actually I got everything in format as regards to steps, production, marketing, and so forth. And then I just literally put my heart on paper, what it is that I want to do. And that is when I really realized that you really want to be self-employed, and this is the way to go. Nobody's talking me out of this. You're going to chart the way forward. So at the end of the day, I ended up with a business plan approximately, let's say, about 37 to 40 pages. We have charts, we have graphs, we have everything. So I just compiled everything, put it together, so to speak. So brought this business plan to a gentleman, and he was like, "You made this?" I was like, "Yes, I made this." "You sure you make this?" I was like, "Yes, I made it." "Somebody help you?" I was like, "No, nobody will help me. I did it by my own." Went Google, look up research, and take the necessary steps. And I just realized at that time I just really wanted to do business. So I pursued farming, wanted a loan, wanted to do something, we would say, the proper way or up to standard. And at that point in time, I was more or less thinking in one direction. You will need bricks, you will need timber from the lumber yard, you will need all these things. Went to a financial institution, basically, in the end of the day. I was not successful with that. So then I decided, okay, what it is that you're going to do. You want to do poultry farming, you want to chart the way forward, what next steps will you take? So I just decided, hey, look, you have to be able to improvise, which I did, and I built what you would call a traditional run. Okay? So I went that direction. I accomplished my goal at the end of the day for next to nothing, so to speak. Something that would have actually cost me thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, actually cost me way less than I initially bargained for. So just doing poultry, there was times when I was more or less down than up. I've had a lot of financial setbacks. Poultry is something that I would say I learned more or less by trial and error. I made a lot of mistakes, so I end up in a lot of pitfalls financially and otherwise. So nevertheless, I just keep pursuing my dream and just keep going full-fledged at it. Today, actually, I supply the Ministry of Education or the schools with poultry. And I've also started another business called the Source of Eden. And basically, this is where I am presently. Starting off under the Imani basically was where I really realized, hey, look, you have potential and you can do this thing. So persons like Mr. Reno, Mr. Williams basically facilitated me and, you know, give me the assistance and so forth, and I just decided that I'm going to push. So in 2014, I received an award and a certificate from the Imani Small Business Division, actually for most outstanding, and that was with my same poultry farm that I've went through hell and high waters with. So that was basically an achievement for me to be happy about at that time. And to me, I still wanted more, so I just wanted to pursue everything, business concept or idea that I had on my heart. Basically, I just wanted to put it on paper, and I did that actually. So from the Imani, about 2 years later in 2016, I got an invitation from the Ministry of Agriculture where I can partake in the Caribbean Entrepreneurship Challenge. That was in 2016. That was hosted by the United Nations and the Center for Excellence in Jamaica. So I decided, well, look, I have this new idea. I'm going to try. There is nothing to lose. So I entered. It was hosted here in Grenada. Participants from throughout the Caribbean came, and it was a wonderful time. We had boot camp and everything. So from the onset boot camp, Myself, I think 2 other Grenadians was involved. We scored at 100 points. And it was from there, wildfire, and Grenada was successful at the end of the day. We won the Caribbean Entrepreneurship Challenge. Trinidad was runner-up. We went to the United Nations. We represented the Caribbean. We pitched our business ideas. And it just did not stop there. For me, I wanted more. It was not just about being complacent. And, you know, we have that concept that Grenada is small, which it is amongst other countries taken into comparison. But being small do not mean that we have to think small or remain small. We can be ambitious too. We can be like Steve Jobs. We can be like Bill Gates. We can be like Warren Buffett. We can dream and we can pursue. And we can think big and dream big, because it's okay to dream big and think big. So I said, look, I'm just going to go full-fledged and just go out. So I received another invitation that was, I think, in 2017, where I was asked to participate in what you call the OECS 30 under 30. And at the end of the day as well, I was successful. I received an award from them in 2017. And that was with the business called The Source of Eden. And everything basically just stems from being passionate. Once I found myself, found my niche, what I love, what I'm passionate about, and just being determined to succeed. Whatever it is I undertake, I want to be successful. I want to be the best. Me and you could be friends, but I want to beat you at the end of the day. And I just want to be successful. So never stop. Just continue doing, you know, what I have to do and so forth. And a lot of opportunities have presented itself. I had the opportunity to also receive a certificate from the Branson Center for Entrepreneurship, and that is based in Jamaica. If I'm correct, I believe that so far I'm the only Grenadian that holds a certificate in that capacity. So it's just being determined, pursuing what you like, doing what you like. The sky's the limits. I mean, challenges will come, and there is nothing that you can do about that. At the end of the day, is how you will combat that. Is the necessary steps that you will take basically to mitigate risk and walk around the curve, or whatever the case may be. But challenges will come. I was basically talked out of doing poultry countless times. Parents, friends, and not by bad individuals, I must say. Just because they saw some of the challenges and hardships basically that I was going through at the point in time. And they felt like, look, you can do something else with your life. You can take other steps, other initiatives, basically you can pursue other things. But for me, it had to be agriculture, it had to be entrepreneurship. And I just continue to pursue that. So as young people, we need to be bold, we need to be defiant at times, we need to stand for what we believe in, we need to do what our heart is telling us to do. Not everybody are called to be entrepreneurs. I firmly believe that. I believe some people work well you know, under somebody else or with somebody else, whatever the case may be, or in other entities or settings. But I believe at the end of the day, some of us can be very good entrepreneurs. We can manage ourselves. We can be basically a medium to set up new businesses and initiatives basically that will drive this country and other countries forward. My dream, my passion, my goal for Grenada actually is to see the industrialization of Grenada, where we as young people will start up new businesses and actually produce byproducts where we can export and create jobs, build our GDP, build ourselves personally and otherwise. So entrepreneurship, it's a challenge. It's not for everybody, I must say, but if you have a desire, you have a dream to become an entrepreneur, I am on board with you. I'm supportive. You can take that try. It would not hurt to try and even fail. Failing is good. Failing is good. I can tell you that. And like one of the panelists said earlier on, it's okay to try and fail. At the end of the day, you'll learn from your mistakes or from your failure. You take note of it, you move on. And a lot of the times, a lot of the things we learn is when we fail or we have mishaps or whatever the case may be. I have had many, countless. So it's okay to fail, it's okay to, because at the end of the day, it's all about risk taking at the end of the day. Sometimes the greater the risk, the greater the loss. And sometimes you take that risk and you're successful. But at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to try and fail. Nothing is wrong with that. And don't let anybody talk you out of that. If you have something that you want to establish, go ahead and do so. You fail, learn from your mistake. You can take a second, a third, a fourth, fifth try at it. That is okay. Nothing is wrong with that. You can fail many times. Those of you who look at or follow the lives of successful people, many of them, when you look at how they started off, actually is from nowhere. Some actually on the streets and so forth, but nevertheless they had a dream, they had a desire to become something, and they pursued it. So be passionate at what you do, be determined at what you do. Don't give up. Hurdles, setbacks, just brush that up, move forward. Take the initiative if you want to become an entrepreneur. If you are an entrepreneur, I wish you all the best. This is my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas. Now, if you thought challenges are unsurmountable, there you had a champion who keeps going. Stick-to-itiveness. He stuck to it. And it is therefore encouraged that persons keep doing what they should do. Ask God to help you to keep on keeping on. At this time, I would like to invite Chief Cultural Officer, Mrs. Susan Jones, to please join one of the lady here, or the lady here on the couch. We want to put you in the soft spot for those hard questions that would come to you. I've noticed the audience, not one person is nodding. It's very good. It's the first time I've been to any event after lunch and I've seen that 100% participation. Anyone feeling as though they want to sleep? Right, that's because you want to go. And because you see, you've gotten so much information, so much enthusiasm that you want to go out there to make it happen. That's good. But it is time now to clarify, to make sure that you really get it right. Make sure that you got it straight. So we apologize here for one of our speakers who apparently isn't able to make it to speak. Let's hope that that speaker will move on in life to do very great things, and one day, when she would have enough information, she'll come back and speak of the things she would have achieved. So the floor is now open to the wonderful persons sitting in the soft spots here. Please do not be afraid. The microphone is right there. You can move towards the microphone and throw the hard questions at them, throw the queries, the concerns, any testimonies that persons may have had as a gentleman. You're welcome.
This one. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So my question is for Mr. Thomas. At one point in your presentation, you mentioned searching for yourself, trying to find your passion, and at the end, you said that you found it. So what are some tips that you'd give us to see how we can more quickly get to that point of finding our passion instead of waddling through it, searching for it aimlessly? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Mr. Thomas, this is posed to you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So actually, for me, I was more focused on my subjects and actually what I did in college, more or less paying attention to that, opposed to listening to my heart and what it is that is really flowing, what it is that I really want to do. Like I said, I study refrigeration and conditioning because someone, a fatherly figure, actually suggested that to me. So agriculture has always been my thing, and being from rural Grenada, actually just wanted to see that grow and develop. But you will know. I might be agriculture, you might have a thing for making music. You're always singing music all the time. Every time you lie down, you're always thinking about this music or whatever the case may be, but you will know. Sometimes it's just listening to ourselves and taking the time out to do self-checks, check the gauge basically, check yourself, look into yourself, what it is this make sense, not, things like that. But you will need some time to meditate, just to reflect, just to see who you are, where you're coming from, where it is that you need to go, but you will know. It's a God thing, or like we say, a heart thing. Yeah.
Very well said. Is that gut-wrenching feeling that you feel that, yes, that is it? Any other question or to any of the, you're welcome.
Good afternoon. My question is to Mr. Worm. Do you think linkology is ever justified? For example, if for your family member, if they were struggling and they needed a job, but you have a long list of people that you were interviewing and stuff, but you prefer to give it to them as opposed to, the people to give it to the family member as opposed to the person that was interviewed. Do you think that would be okay?
Thank you for the question.
Linkology is not always justified, but as I previously said, that linkology is something that is already there for you. So with your question, I will not say linkology, I will say you're speaking about social networking, because linkology is like something that is passed on. Like if you have a family business or so you actually know that job is yours already. So linkology basically being something like family related. So it's like passed on to generation upon generation. So you don't have to go through the process of being interviewed and this kind of thing because it's already yours. Since you're in school growing up, definitely this is a family business and my work secure. So whether I want to go to school and learn or not, I know I have a job, whether I have qualification or not. Whereas if the question that you were thinking about, social networking, it is not really justified to, because in some situations it's like strings pull, because yes, I might know a family member may be looking for a job, but because of somebody who knows a string, I may or may not give that family member that job, but it all depends on the type of job and what is being offered. Your question answered? You sure? Are you clear? Okay.
Thank you very much. Linkology, it is a word that, to me, if you might go to the Oxford Dictionary, you may not find it. It may very well be a Grenadian vernacular, but we do know that it makes a lot of sense. There are times the family business can be passed on into hereditary. You can inherit that business. But there are times, too, you may confuse it and say it's nepotism. There are businesses that persons seek to employ their cohorts, their friends. It may be viewed as nepotism, but it may not be nepotism if the business has to be passed on. Yes? Thank you. Any other questions? Please come forward. You're welcome.
Good afternoon again. My question goes to Miss Worm. And if your friend offered you a job, disregarding the fact that you were not qualified for the job, would you still take it?
Well, I guess as much that is a kind of personal question you're asking me. But it's obviously, if I'm looking for a job and I'm offered it, knowing that I do not have the experience or the qualification, I will take it. I guess anybody who reach in that situation and you really needs a job, even if you know that you do not have the qualification and the experience, I will accept it, because there is something that is said that you're willing to learn and qualify yourself to do the job. So even if I know I do not have it, I can walk my way towards the job.
But don't you think that someone who worked very hard and is more experienced than you are at the moment deserves that job maybe more than you do, where you can go and get your experience and then come back and maybe look for an even better job?
I would like to ask you, how would you identify that person? How would she be able to identify that person who may be better or suitably more qualified than she is for that job? Where does she find that person?
Well, she obviously would not know in an interview, like the people that are waiting in the line, she wouldn't know if they're more qualified than she is. But if she knows in herself that she's not as qualified, I just believe that maybe she can go and internalize her qualifications and build up on her experience to then give everybody kind of like a fair playing field, and not use the fact that they're friends to get the job.
So I guess as much the question you should have directed that if I was the person doing the interview, not the person who is accepting the job. You understand? So if I'm the person accepting the job, and I know obviously I will take it because I do not want to work. But whereas if I'm the person who is going to give the job opportunity, by right, I should not do it. Once you're professional, you're not supposed to be thinking about, because it is my friend. To me and my thinking, it is wrong. I don't know. It all depends, and then it all comes back to the situation. I guess as much when I'm in the situation and I have to deal with it, then I will know how to cross that bridge. Okay?
Thank you very much. Wonderful discussion, because it is said that necessity is the father of all inventions. It's not until you're in that position, not until you really find yourself needing. There's a difference between wanting a job, being qualified for a job, and needing that job. And I can tell you that if you're adaptive, if you're somebody who can be flexible, who wants to be making themselves employable, there are times you look at the newspaper and you'll see employment opportunities there. And they're asking you to present XXX qualifications, fine, but you must have 5 years experience. Now, if she did not take that job to start, where would the experience come from? And this is what young people ought to take out there. I'm ready to retire now. Young people need to ask and find out from the employers, and Grenada has an employers federation. When you put that on the advertisement for us, with nobody wanting to give us a job to start, where would the experience come from? So when those persons come to you for your electoral support, you need to let them know these are the things you need to change for us. And if they do not change it now, they are soon coming in the line for a pension. And you will be the one there making the mistake with their pension qualification checks. So it will hurt them negatively. Let's keep the questions coming, please. I wish she was coming to ask a question, but she has gone to her seat. Anybody else? Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, afternoon. This question is directed to anyone on the panel who feels to answer. So, I'm a young man. I just came from school, just studied, and I'm looking at a job, come at the interview, and a person tells me, well, you need 35 years experience, and I'm 19, or you need 10,000 years experience. I'm just exaggerating, just so you get the point. So how do you give proper advice and consolation to persons who see these kind of things and they are suitably qualified but lack the experience? And that's one question. And then I have another question. So some subjects in school do not teach the full scope of skills required for any area of employment. So such that when the person encounters an interview, they are not suitably qualified. And is that a problem of the student, or is that a problem of the education system?
Thank you very much for your question. Ms. Montrose will try to do justice to that.
Thank you for your question, son. On the issue of experience, there are certain jobs that requires experience. There are certain technical jobs that you cannot take a novice to do. In the area of programming or some sophisticated thing area, you need to start from a level up. And you have to grow in that position, in that area of study. You understand what I'm saying? So it doesn't always mean for lower level positions. You don't ask for qualification, experience for that. But the experience comes with the higher levels of positions available. You understand? So because let's take for a manager, for example, you may come straight from college, go straight to university, and you got your bachelor's degree and whatever, but you have never managed anybody. You don't know the dynamics of management. You would do a poor job at managing. So you have to be in the environment for a long time, not necessarily for a long time, but for a while, to understand, because managing there are some dynamics of management that is not taught at school. Remember I said there are soft skills and hard skills? There are some soft skills that you need to be in certain positions. So you may have the qualification, yes, but there are other dynamics that you need to have to perform at your optimum at that level. Does that answer your question? Right. Then there are, on the issue of, what was your other question on the skills? We've gone right back again to soft skills and hard skills. So let me give you an example. There was a time I was looking for a position, for a teller, some low-level position. And when I looked at this guy's resume, very impressive. And I thought he was the best, he was a suitable candidate. So I called up his telephone number. And he answered me, yo. You understand? Unfortunately, I was so taken aback that you are unemployed. You don't know when your phone rings, who is going to be calling. I have a teenage daughter, and before she left school, sometimes she would look at her phone and she would see an unknown number calling, she would not answer. She would see a number calling that she doesn't know, she would not answer. And I had to school her. I said, you are preparing to enter the work life. You are going to be sending out dozens of applications out there. You don't know what number an employer is going to be calling you from. Answer your phone and answer it nicely. Good morning, good afternoon, not yo. If when you pick up the phone and it's a call that you do not want to entertain, you abandon the call. But I admonish young people always, not young people, anybody, answer your phone every time it rings and answer it properly. Because sometimes you miss out on golden opportunities because that young man missed out. I am sure he was going to make he was going to be good at what he did, he was supposed to be doing, but he just lost it when he answered me, yo. I did call him in afterwards and had to school him about it. Even before, let me tell you something, screening for a job begins long before your application reaches to the employer. As a human resource practitioner, I am very vigilant of what happens around me. I pay close attention to people I come in contact with. So there was one night I was at a concert, and there was some young men in front of me, and they were just talking and using obscenities, and they were distracting me. So I just quietly said to him, I said, would you all be a little quiet and thing? And one of them cussed me out so bad. I looked at him. You know that same young man ended up in front of me a few months after to be interviewed. I said to him, I am sorry. I cannot have this discussion with you. And I reminded him of the occasion. And I also admonished him. You have to be, you remember what I said about being kind? You never know where you are going to end up, in whose presence you are going to end up in. So you try to be your best at all times. Even your social media posts. When I get my applications and I have somebody to call, I go on Facebook, you know. I want to see what you're posting, what you're talking about, what's your trend of conversation. Employers look at all those things. Even how you behave outside, we look at those things. So sometimes you come and you have technical skills, but the other skills are lacking. And we pick them up sometimes even before we interview you. So you have to be very, 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 very careful. I hope I was explicit enough, right?
I think you also mentioned something regarding our education system. Am I correct? Yes, he did. Yeah.
Honestly speaking, there are some things the school system really sometimes does not foster all career paths. Because I know a little girl now, she is about 8, and she wants to be some pilant or whatever it is, but is to do with to investigate dinosaurs and extinct animals. I can't even pronounce it. So she does her own research, so she can tell you anything on any animal. The school system does not facilitate that. So, young man, I kind of feel your pain, but it's the system that we're living in. And I wish to God that the powers that be try to change it, to accommodate those situations. I think there are some schools, Boca School, for example, apart from the academics, they have a skill section, which I applaud. But otherwise, I think some children might get lost in the school system. Because if that young child doesn't stay on top of a game herself, she may lose the passion. Yeah.
I tend to agree to disagree somewhat with you, because I think now that our school system has broadened the scope of, there are lots more subjects that are taught at school, And you mentioned the soft skills, which I totally agree with you. And if you talk about time management, that some of the soft skills are taught, maybe not directly, but if you are a good student and you want to be punctual, then therefore you will be punctual at your job. If you communicate well with your teachers and with your peers, you will be able to communicate better at your workplace. So the soft skills are, if you dress appropriately, making sure that your tie, if you have to wear a tie, or your shirt is clean, you know, your skirt is the correct length, your pants is not tight, but you obey the rules. Therefore, you would be able to do that when you become employable. And so some of the soft skills are taught, but before, persons would usually focus more on language and maths. But now, for me, when I went to school, it was only GCE that was available then. Now we have lots of CXC subjects, and they are broadening and taking into consideration the soft skills at school also. They wouldn't be able to cater for everyone, but I think they try their best.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Jones. We see another hand up, and we must be very fair to the education system, but I think it's gravely lacking, because I remember 20 years ago and 30 years ago in school, you had subjects like penmanship, the art of cursive writing. It's no longer there. We had woodwork from primary schools, home economic centers from primary schools. Those things are quickly going out because they are teaching us a new pedagogy that are making young persons unemployable. Young people are studying, and the parents are going and take loans to send them to study for jobs that are not available. Let's be realistic and let's keep it real, please. I see another hand up.
Good day again, all. It's not really a question, but it's a school of thought on the same lines. Hence, since it's active thought, I'm bringing a thought or comment on that same line. Now, a body is designed in such a way that one can see after the other and functions in different areas, like the eye, see, the mouth, talk. But we all are part of the face, and the face is complete. Now, to the point, you made about soft skills and the educational problem. I find at times we come down a bit too much on the educational system. Now, I know everything in life have its flaws, but soft skills on a whole, education starts home. I'm going to repeat that. Education starts home, because charity begins at home. And what you put into a child, that's what a child is going to bring out. So at the end of the day, soft skills really start at home. And education starts at home. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. We thank you so very much. We see another hand up. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My question is for Ms. Montrose. You spoke about the soft skills, and my question is, how can someone, or how are some ways that someone can help develop those soft skills? And I know you talked about the educational system and helping people to develop soft skills, but how can the public and the private sector help people develop their soft skills?
Thank you very much. In fact, after Ms. Montrose's response, we'll be only able to, because of time, entertain one more question. Thank you very much.
So, soft skills, it's something that is personal, and they develop as we get older. So, I use me as a perfect example. I was not always very nice. Seriously. But sometimes circumstances lead you or make you nice. Or sometimes where you are placed and the people that you are associate yourself with They help to develop you. So how can the private sector help? Forums like these. You yourself can help. Find somebody like a mentor. That's what I did. I went through some really bad situations. So I grew up very, very, very angry with I don't know who. But afterwards, I begin to internalize. I say, but I can't die like this. That I don't think that's how I'm supposed to be. So I found a person to help me to get over it. So sometimes you have to take a personal initiative. Look at somebody in your community, a teacher, somebody, and you align yourself with that person, and they would help you to grow and develop. There are opportunities that are created where seminars and workshops and trainings are offered. You yourself can take personal I'm not getting the word. Yes, courses to help develop yourself. I'm not sure how the community would help, but I think becoming a better person heavily depends on you. Because if you, first of all, you have to recognize that you are lacking the soft skills, and you have to want it. And you have to want it so bad that you pursue it. Because if you do not recognize that you need it, it can be dished out to you as much and as often and as long as, and you would feel so high and lofty and you would not accept it. So I believe that this developing soft skills heavily depends on an individual.
Thank you very much, Ms. Monrose. In fact, to complete what you're saying, most places of employment, doesn't matter how impressive your curriculum vitae or your resume may look, at the end of the day, that prospective employer goes into your community to do what is known as vetting, the vetting process. Because you may have everything very, very impressive on paper, but in the community in which you live, your behavior may be appalling. It may be very rotten. And no employer would want such person to be employed within his or her establishment. So it is in your best interest to watch how you live in the community. Even if the community may be biased against you, let your light so shine before them that your good works must be forced and must be seen. And even if you may think they may be against you, some persons are very honest out there. They will tell persons, she doesn't talk to me now, but that doesn't hear she name me nothing. They're forced to be honest, brutally honest. It has passed and just say morning and don't talk to us. That is important. Oh, he says morning. So please, people, remember, no man is an island, and be very careful and be very watchful in the things you do. There are eyes that are looking that you do not see. As I did say, one last question. I thank you. All right, it seems that there are no questions, so that's a lucky hand up. It's a very lucky hand up, and she's making her way up. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon to everyone. Okay, my question is directed to Ms. Warm. Don't both linkology and social networking both lead to exclusion of certain groups?
Thank you for your question.
Yes, it does. Because with linkology, seeing that is something that is inherited,
that means like something that will pass down to generation after generation, meaning that that business will stay within one family line then. Whereas in social networking, it can be similar because yes, it can be similar because you have in some places, some workplaces, they stigmatize against different reasons. Because in here in Grenada, there are certain workplaces that you may go and you see persons of one kind, meaning not to discriminate anybody, meaning that you may find a place with only Indian people and complexion. So that in a kind of way is the same thing as, well, it's similar to the linkology, because it is still like favoritism. So because my cousin is an Indian and I'm an Indian, this is the kind of people that we want. Two persons may come for this interview, but because that person might be a hard Negro, she might know the work, whatever, and the next person might know, they will choose that one. So, is your question answered?
All right, thank you very much. And it seems as though we're coming down with the curtains. I do not want us to leave here with any misconceptions. There are businesses and other types of investments that are handed down and that has nothing to do with linkology. As I said, the word linkology may just be a Grenadian vernacular or something in our dialect, because the part that deals with or speaks to linkology is simply telling us in our local parlance that we have connections. Linkology therefore means connections, nothing to do with a chain of command or chain of ownership. So please let us not misconstrue that. All right? It in our local parlance means you may know somebody who knows somebody, and that somebody may help direct you to an opportunity. But as I said earlier, the very same person that you think you know may not even know you. And sometimes even when you know them and you know they know you, the time may come when they pretend they do not know you at all. So my dear young people and brothers and sisters, let us keep surviving. Let us keep living. From 1838 to now, it's not long since we've been freed. Let us realize that as people, we need to keep together as one. We need to help each other. We need to look out for one another and let the best person to do the job get it. Also, let's help the persons who may not be so suitable. But if you know something that they don't know, share it with them. Knowledge does not belong to the individual. It is only knowledge when it is shared. And by sharing it, we'll make a better place for all of us. And so, I'd like to invite the chairman of Team Action International, Dr. Paul Fort, to give us a vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your participation.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, let me thank you all for coming today and for participating in the session. Give yourself a round of applause. I would like to thank, I'm going to start from the gentleman, Mr. Floyd Thomas, for his presentation. Ms. Amory Montrose, Ms. Aria Worm, and also we'd like to thank the Director of Culture. We'd like to thank the Director of Culture, Ms. Susan Jones. I would like to thank Mr. Patrick Knight from UNICEF for coming over to give his brief remarks on behalf of UNICEF. I'd like to thank the team here from the Ministry of Youth, Culture and Sports and Arts who will have contributed to make this initiative a successful and a possible one. Thank you very much. We thank those participants who asked questions, those who made comments, those who gave suggestions for participating. Thank you. I would especially thank Mr. Williams, Mr. Bihari, and I don't remember the names, Mrs. Williams, for today's session and for all that have happened over the week thus far. Let's give them a round of applause. I would like to thank my good brother here, Mr. Jones, Gerard Jones, for emceeing this session. And last but not least, I would like to thank the Heavenly Father for making it possible for all of us to be here, to have the breath, the courage, and the commitment to developing ourselves. Let's stand and give ourselves a round of applause. Good evening, everyone. Get home safe. Have a fantastic weekend.